Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, and today I wanted to switch gear a little bit and do a video on the African Cup of Nations, which has been going on for a few weeks now. We're actually done with the first knockout round and heading into the quarterfinals, so this is starting to really get real. And it's been a pretty interesting competition so far, so I thought I'd do a little bit of an update, talk about the different teams that are still in the mix, how they're doing, or two PSG players as well, and yeah, kind of like make sure everyone is up to speed with what's going on, because it's starting to get interesting. And one of these teams could be 10 days away from winning a trophy. So let's just dive into it. Like I said, we are at the point where we're heading into the quarterfinals. For these competitions, the 8 teams remaining are actually, according to FIFA rankings, the top 8 teams of Africa. So this competition is very much, living up to the hype, because it's actually going very well, and like the organization is quite good. The stadiums are great. There's a lot of positive things going on, but also in terms of the sporting quality, yeah, it's like really getting interesting, and there's some really going on. So the 4 quarterfinals are going to be Mali versus Senegal, Cameroon versus Morocco being the host country, Algeria versus Nigeria, and then Egypt versus Ivory Coast. So four really interesting matchups, if I'm honest, and I think all of those teams have done well to get to this point, but all of them are bringing something to the mix, which is interesting. So I'll go through the list and give you my thoughts and perspective on them. So the first one is Mali versus Senegal, and this one is interesting because Mali is actually has gotten to the quarterfinals of the competition without winning a single game. They drew 3 times in their group phase, and they managed to beat Tunisia after extra time and on a penalty shootout in the first knockout round. So they play a football which is very gritty, honestly. The game against Tunisia was really not that pleasant to watch, if I'm honest. But at the same time, you get to admire the grit of the team and their determination to go through. I think quarterfinals, if I'm honest, is probably the place where the wheels come off the wagon for them. They're going to be playing a team of Senegal, which on the other end has been doing quite well. Not everything has perfectly clicked. They're kind of in the middle of transitioning generation. And interestingly enough, one of the big upcoming players that they have in Senegal right now has been Ibrahim Mbaye, or Titi from PSG, who's been doing really, really well. Initially started as a bit of a substitute, then became that first sub that comes on the pitch. Got a couple of assists to his name in the group phase, and in the first knockout round, actually managed to score a goal as well. So that tournament is going really, really well for him, and there's hope for us that we get a very different Ibrahim Mbaye coming back to PSG at the end of it. A player that will have taken a step up in terms of his quality and his ability to make a difference in the game. The belief that he has in himself, that he's at a level where he can make an impact. So it should be pretty interesting for us, because he's been really honestly really interesting to watch in that style of his, which is a mix of really physical, very fast, provoking, not hesitating to dribble, and so on. So yeah, something that's gonna be great to see. Obviously, Senegal, they also have Sadio Mane, who's still there. They have Nicolas Jackson, who's there. So they do have as well quite a few. Habib Diallo is there. They have a few really big name players in attack. They've got a strong team overall. And so I think for this first quarterfinals, they're clearly the favorites getting into it. Second matchup that we're going to be looking at, it's going to be the Morocco game versus Cameroon. And if I'm honest, this one is probably the closest of them all. Morocco, they're at home. They've been doing okay. They came into the tournament really big favorites. They haven't won AFCON in 50 years. They are hosting the tournament this time. They've got a great generation that's really at the pinnacle of its form. And so, yeah, a lot of people were putting pressure on them. I think domestically, the appetite for them to win is absolutely massive. And you see it in the stadiums, and you see it in the games they play. Like if they're drawing at halftime, like they get echoed. If they win 1-0, like people aren't satisfied with it. And I think, candidly, I think that pressure that they're getting from the environment has been kind of getting to them, and they haven't really freed themselves of it to really play their football and really show the best of what they can do. At the same time, they do have the top scorer of the competition in Brahim Diaz of Real Madrid, who's been, a real standout in this competition. In terms of PSG player, Hakimi actually did manage to come back for AFCON progressively throughout the group stage, and he played 90 minutes in the knockout round. So he's getting back into the team and into fitness. I think, a lot of things are coming together. Ultimately, a tournament is won or lost in the last, 2 or 3 games for teams like this, which is exactly what we're getting into. So now is really going to be the time where either they can put the pressure to the side, really have their football click, have a little bit of luck come to their way, and really take it to the next level. Or sadly, they might face have a tough time. And I think that Cameroon opponent, it's not going to be an easy one by any means. They beat South Africa in the first knockout round, 2-1, and then in the group stage, they finished second, but level on point of their group with Ivory Coast, which is obviously a big opponent, and we'll get to them later on as well. So it's a strong team. It's a good team, Cameroon. They've got some good players, and so this one is really, really going to be a tough matchup and a hard game for Morocco. In terms of prediction, I think this one is actually really hard to predict. I think it could go into penalty, if I'm honest, and I think it could go either way. I think if it does go on penalty, I'll give a slight edge to Morocco, because one, they're at home, so they're going to have the advantage of the crowd and so on. And two, their goalkeeper Bono is known for performing well in penalty shootouts. So yeah, could go either way. Maybe Morocco gets through, but it's really a 50-50 in this case, so a hard one to predict. The next game is actually super interesting, and one that I'm probably gonna give it a watch because it's interesting. It's Algeria versus Nigeria. Nigeria, for me, might be the team that's doing the best so far in this AFCON. If you ask me, they finished top of their group. They've got an offensive strike force between Osimhen and Lookman, who's really, really. I was going to say clicking, but also there have been snippets of the two players yelling at each other on the pitch. So maybe clicking isn't quite the right word, but they're really performing together. They've been really impressive in terms of putting together an attractive football, an offensive football, scoring a lot of goals. I think they might have won all of their games, Nigeria. They did win their knockout against Mozambique 4-0. And in the group stage, they won their 3 games. So best offense of the competition. And a team that's really quite attractive, if I'm honest, in terms of the football that they play. And interestingly, they're playing the other team that's won all of their game in the competition. Well, kind of won all of their game in the competition in Algeria. Algeria won their 3 group stage games. The only thing is that in the knockout round, they did get pushed all the way to extra time by the Democratic Republic of Congo, and only beat them 1-0 with a goal at the 118th minute. So really seconds away from a penalty shootout. It's an interesting team, Algeria, quite young, very talented. They've got some names as well that very much, take it the whole way. They've got Lucas Zidane, the son of Zinedine Zidane, in goal. They still have Riyad Mahrez as a forward. They've got a midfield with Benacer, with Ibrahim Maza, who used to be like he played for a German team as a youngster, but declared for the Algerian team, and he's been one of the most like talked about player for this AFCON. They've got Ryan Aït-Nouri, which was in the French league for a while. They've got what's his name, like the Paris FC player, like Kebal, who's not even a starter, I think, for this Algeria team. So quite a lot of talent. Generationally, they're in a pretty interesting spot as well. Like it's gonna be an interesting one. I think it's hard as well because Algeria, they've got the benefit of like obviously they're the neighboring country to Morocco, so it's easier for their fans, but at the same time there's a little bit of a local rivalry. So anything could happen. I think like Nigeria probably still has a little edge, just on account of them having done so well in this competition so far. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting match. Honestly, like I think this one would be very much worth a watch. And yeah, like might have to give it a watch. Let me know if you want me to do like a full-on like preview, debrief, whatever it might be for some of those games. And then finally, the last quarterfinal is Egypt versus Ivory Coast, and I think that's also a really interesting matchup. Ivory Coast they're the reigning champions. They won the last AFCON, and they've been on a sloping upward trajectory since the beginning of the competition, doing better and better as games were on. They beat Burkina Faso in the knockout round 3-0, so really a clear, dominant, very confident win. They came here to do what they needed to do. They did exactly that. They scored a first goal early and kind of like went through the game, scored 3 goals, and really dominated that. So pretty interesting for them. And then like even in the group phase, like I said, like they finished first of their group, tied on points with Cameroon, but 7 points, strong performance, nothing really to write home about, I guess. So good performer and definitely a tough opponent. And I think on the other side, like Egypt has been doing okay throughout the tournament, but I think if I'm honest, it's interesting because I think the strength of this Egypt team is very much in the attack. Obviously, they've got Salah and Marmoush up front, which is bonkers by AFCON standards. But at the same time, they haven't been scoring a lot of goals, and they've kind of made their way through the competition without being very prolific up front. So I wonder how long they're going to be able to squeeze their way through like this. And it may be a case of, Ivory Coast may be a too tough of an opponent for them right now. But at the same time, if Salah turns up, if Marmoush turns up, all of a sudden, like it's a very, very big game. Obviously, like a team like Egypt, they've got very good players in every position as well, but not quite on the same level of like world class like a Salah or Marmoush. But yeah. So it could be a really interesting one. I think I'll give a slight edge to Ivory Coast, but yeah, it could go either way in the end. Egypt will have their chance for sure, and it's really gonna be interesting in terms of whether they can continue like pushing through in this competition and making their way through. In terms of the final win as well, like I think that's going to be really interesting because all of those teams ultimately like already at quarterfinal level, like all of them are pretty close. There's no like apart from like maybe like the Mali game versus Senegal, which is kind of like relatively should be like comfortable for Senegal, but like there's no real like completely obvious games. All of them could really like go either way or end up being very close. So I think like if you project into a final, obviously like Morocco, like I said, they've got a huge amount of pressure to try to make it happen. I think they've got a team which is really at the pinnacle of where it can be collectively, a very strong and well-oiled machine. Assuming they can put the pressure to the side, assuming Hakimi can continue to ramp up in terms of form and really find his top level pretty quickly, they could be very, very close. I think Nigeria is also interesting. I think Ivory Coast is also interesting. I think Senegal, to a lesser extent, is also interesting. But I kind of wish it for Morocco, because honestly, I wish it for Hakimi. It was so heartbreaking when he got injured against Bayern, and we thought he was going to miss it. It's such a big tournament for him, such a big tournament for the team, and it's such a big tournament for the country. It'd be great for them to win it. Like I said as well, the organization has been top notch. Everyone is only saying good things. The stadium are pretty spectacular. Some of them are really modern. They're actually making Spain a little bit worried, because Morocco is supposed to host the World Cup in a few years with Spain and maybe with Portugal. Not entirely sure, but with Spain for sure. And the Spaniards are looking at this and going wow, Morocco can really do it. They thought they were going to host most of the games and be the senior organizer in the World Cup. They're oh, okay, we maybe we need to get our stadium in order as well, and kind of start thinking of how we do a job there, because this is really good. There's been a couple of controversies about referees, but obviously that's kind of the flavor of the moment in world football anyway. And sadly, that's kind of what you would expect in a competition like this. Nothing that completely altered the result of a game or something like this, but a couple of mistakes here and there. And so, really interesting tournament so far, really enjoyable. We've got 4 really good games in the quarterfinals to look forward to. And then I think semi-finals, probably middle of next week. The quarterfinals are going to be, I think, Friday, Saturday. And then semi-finals probably going to be, I would imagine, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. And then the final weekend after. All of those games are going to be really interesting. Honestly, there could be some really, really good matchup. So if you get a chance, don't hesitate to tune in. It's a great tournament. There's some great talent as well, some great youngsters in quite a few teams. So I know a lot of scouts are paying attention. Let me know in the comment what you think. Have you been watching this so far? What do you think of the competition? What do you think of the different teams, and who's your favorite for it? Let me know in the comment as well if you're interested in me doing a few more videos about this, maybe for the later games. I'll do preview debriefs kind of things. We'll see depending on the schedule with PSG as well. And in the end, if you've made it so far into the video, please drop a like. Really shows appreciation for the video caster, and really helps with the YouTube algorithm. So really essential to get those videos in front of more people. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Also critical to not miss out on future videos. Hit the bell to get notified. So you're all set. And don't forget, as always, in AFCON or in Europe or in Kuwait, as it turns out, ici c'est Paris!